I seek leave to make a brief explanation before addressing a question without notice to the Treasurer on the topic of business support during COVID-19.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. The Honourable Mr Sims.
Thank you, Mr President. A report released earlier this week found that the amount of vacant retail space in the Adelaide CBD is at its highest level since 1993. With South Australia's borders set to open on Tuesday, Business SA CEO Martin Haese has called for the federal and state governments to provide reasonable financial support to those businesses who are forced to close down due to staff being in quarantine. My question to the Treasurer, therefore, is what is the government's plan to assist or compensate businesses that will be impacted by COVID-19 in the weeks ahead, and what is the government's plan to reduce shop vacancies in the CBD?
Well, the second part of the question, if I could just lower the temperature of question time a little bit and moderate my voice a little. The second part of the question is relatively easy, and that is the only solution to challenges for job growth and economic growth are actually to adopt the sort of policies this government is adopting to grow the economy and grow jobs. I would imagine the Greens would support the position this government is putting. There's no earthly reason why our state's economic growth and jobs growth shouldn't at least track it in and around about the national average over a long period of time. For 20 years, we've tracked at about half or two-thirds of the national average. If we want to keep young South Australians in South Australia, and if we want to attract people to South Australia, we have to make sure that jobs growth and economic growth tracks at around about the national average during that period. And the only sensible way of doing that is to make sure that the costs of doing business in our state are competitive nationally and internationally. We do not have to be the cheapest jurisdiction in the nation or the world, but we certainly can't afford to be the most expensive. We have to be competitive. Because all the other attributes that we have and we love, the fact we're the third most livable city in the world, the most livable city in Australia, our work-life balance arrangements, all of those attractions that we have, the fact that you've got a government which is leading the nation and one of the leaders in the world in terms of zero emissions and renewable energy policies, all of those things are inbuilt ticks and attractions for people to want to invest and to grow jobs in the state. So the only solution to the sort of issues Martin Haese and others are identifying in terms of jobs, not just in the CBD but in the regions, but also in the suburbs as well, is we actually have to have an environment which allows people to grow jobs. In the CBD, what we're seeing with the announcement with Cognizant today, PwC and others coming to the CBD, albeit at the Lot 14 and the eastern end of CBD Adelaide, but nevertheless still the CBD, thousands and thousands of jobs, both now and over the future, for people in the CBD. What that does is that it actually gives the capacity for cafes and restaurants and others to be able to do business in the city. And that's the challenge, Mr President, that this government's got. Quickly in relation to, and I could speak, Mr President, but I won't. This was a Dorothy Dixer. This came from. It's almost a Dorothy Dixer, but I won't treat it as a Dorothy Dixer. From the Honourable Mr Sims. But I won't on the second part of the question. The first part of the question is, I responded to that question, I think, from the Honourable Mr Pangallo earlier in the week, and that is we recently applied to the federal government for assistance for the relief programs and grant programs provided to Mount Gambier, and the federal government said, consistent with their public policies nationally, they are moving away from providing federally funded business assistance. And for that reason, in Mount Gambier, we went ahead and we funded the Mount Gambier assistance for the period of the lockdown as a state government. But there's nothing that currently exists in relation to ongoing business support. To answer the question specifically, we will monitor what, if anything, other state governments do. At this stage, we're not aware of any ongoing state government-funded programs. We're not aware of any federal government-funded programs in relation to the specific circumstances to which Martin Haese and the honourable member have referred. we'll monitor it, but at this stage the answer to the question is we do not have current programs that meet that particular descriptor the honourable member has asked.
Sims.
So just to confirm, Treasurer, aside from monitoring, you're not doing anything in terms of providing any support to businesses at the moment?
We actually provided state government-funded assistance to Mount Gambier recently, but in relation to what might exist today, the answer to the question is we are doing a lot. We're trying to reduce the cost of doing business for everybody so that their businesses can grow. But if you're talking about do we have a grant program for those businesses that are failing and are in trouble, we do not have a grant program at the moment for those businesses who are failing or closing or running into specific problems in relation to COVID. I can't be any more explicit than that. It's a direct answer to a direct question.